You hear that? Silent night, holy night, Adeste Fidele. God rest you, merry gentlemen. This is the best Christmas present I could ever give to you.
Well, I appreciate the sentiment. You let me decide what I get for Christmas, all right? This money belongs to me and Alvin, too, you know?
It never belonged to us. It belonged to the town.
What are you telling me? That you are going to be the first guy in history to get pinched for putting money back into a vault?
Trapped in Paradise is a 1994 comedy film that found very little box office success, but has a great cast and is starting to slowly catch on as an underrated 1990s Christmas comedy. Just before Christmas, New York City criminals Dave and Alan Firpo, played by Jon Lovitz and Dana Carvey, are granted early parole from prison. Dave is a compulsive liar.
What I believe is that once released from this prison, I, much like my reptilian brother, shall take wing and fly high above my problems.
That was very moving, Mr. Firpo. But the prison psychiatry board says you're incapable of telling the truth.
Well, that's a lie.
And Alvin is a kleptomaniac.
What I've learned in prison is that, like, robbing and stealing and all that horse shit, there's something that ain't right about it, you know what I mean? A lot of guys in here disagree with me, but they're serving time. I'm up for parole. Connect the dots. Connect them.
Their brother Bill, played by Nicolas Cage, has a job at an upscale restaurant and tries his best to avoid the temptations of theft.
I found a wallet in the street.
Did you do the right thing?
Well, yes, Father, I did eventually, with great difficulty. But it had over $800 in it, which I counted many times on the subway. And I feel as if I've ruined my karma, Father, and that something bad is going to happen as a result of this transgression.
How many letters is that?
Transgression? I don't know. 13. Why, Father?
Never mind.
They all visit their loving mother Edna, played by Florence Stanley.
Come on, don't hold back, Ma. That's cream corn. Look at that stuff. One more. Come on now. That's delicious. Can't beat it with a stick. Thank you. Yeah, load me up. It's great to be home, Ma. I gotta tell you. I miss this little piece of heaven.
Yeah, I missed you, Ma.
I missed you boys, too. You know what else I miss around here? I miss all the creature comforts we used to have when you boys were around. VCRs, big screen TVs, remember?
Yeah.
Boy, you could hardly move in here.
I moved. A big screen TV.
You know, I wonder who misses them more, you or the original owners.
Ah, baloney. Are you saying that stuff was stolen?
Oh, Ma, Dave and Alva would never steal anything. They're saints. That car wash robbed itself.
Dave asks Bill to help him do a favor for an inmate he knew in prison named Vic Mazzucci, played by Vic Manny. Go down to Paradise, Pennsylvania, and find Vic's daughter, Sarah Mazzucci.
Well, he gave me a letter explaining everything. Here. You gotta read this, huh? It'll make you cry. I detect resistance.
Bill refuses as the two brothers are not allowed out of state while on parole. Soon after, the brothers get into small-time trouble with the police, and the three decide to leave town and head to Paradise, Pennsylvania. At the local bank, they meet a beautiful bank teller named Sarah Collins, played by Madchen Amick.
Those are for the children. And you know, the sign says take a pen, not take all the pens. Can I have them back?
The pen, it said take...
Come on.
Oh. Sarah, honey. All the pens are gone.
Yeah, I know. I have them right here, Mr. Anderson.
You said
New customer?
Sarah? Sarah Collins?
Yeah.
Are you married?
Why, are you going to propose?
Yes.
Do I know you?
No, I'm Bill. I apologize for my brother. He's mentally retarded.
They also take note of how the bank has no camera, a sleeping old man security guard, and a massive delivery of cash into the vault. After Dave informs Bill that the trunk is full of guns, the three decide to rob the bank vault. They buy ski masks at a shop in town run by two reserve deputies, Clovis and Ed, played by John Burgentine and John Ashton.
You boys here for the Winterfest?
No, we're just passing through.
Just passing through.
Just passing through.
The men then rob the bank, run by Clifford and Hattie Anderson, played by Donald Moffat and Angela Patton.
Do you boys really, do you boys really want to do this?
Do what?
You know, rob the bank.
Mrs. Anderson informs Bill that her husband has the keys to the bank vault and is out to lunch across the street.
I'm gonna get you. I'm coming at you. Mrs. Anderson.
After retrieving Mr. Anderson from his lunch, the three rob the vault and take off.
What's that?
Oh, shit, I still got the keys to the vault on me.
Same time next year.
While attempting to head out of town, a snowstorm hits and their car flips off the road. They get a ride from a friendly passerby, but with the interstate closed, the man takes the three brothers to the house of his relatives meeting for Christmas Eve dinner. The home happens to be that of the bank president, Mr. Anderson.
The bank was robbed this afternoon by three men.
And on Christmas Eve? What's this world coming to?
Well, of course, I saw you talking with Sarah upstairs, so I knew you were all right.
Welcoming the brothers in with open arms, they find that Sarah lives in the upstairs part of the house, and that none of the family seems to recognize the men from the robbery. In the meantime, Vic Mizzucci gets word that the bank he had his eyes on was robbed. Enraged at being double-crossed by the brothers, he takes advantage of the snowstorm to escape from prison. Kidnapping Edna, he and his henchman Caesar, played by Frank Pesci, head to Paradise to get the money and their revenge.
What were you doing 5 years for? Stupidity?
Hey, Edna, how would you like to ride in the trunk of the car?
Edna, are we sleeping together? I think not. You call me Mrs. Furpo, goddammit.
Come on, Caesar, don't aggravate the old witch.
I wish I was a witch. I'd shove my broomstick right up your ass.
Being treated so kindly by the Anderson family and being attracted to the wise Sarah who seems to be onto them.
Well, for years now, these big city banks have been threatening to come in, wanting to take us over. And now with this robbery, the FDIC will come in and investigate and find that I make loans to people just on a handshake.
Then how could the bank have so much cash on hand?
Well, God, that's the worst part of it. That's a once-a-year deal. Over the years, I've persuaded everybody in town to open up a little Christmas club account. You know, nothing much, but at the end of the year, everybody has a few extra dollars.
Bill begins to wonder if he can change away from the life of crime, and perhaps that is why no matter what they do, they seem to be trapped in paradise.
Do you think people change? Do you believe a person can be on one road their whole life and then just back up and take another?
I think that all depends.
Depends. On the road.
Depends on the person.
Depends on the person.
This movie was written and directed by George Gallo, who had written the 1988 hit film Midnight Run. According to Jon Lovitz, director George Gallo did not actually direct much and told the cast to do whatever they wanted. According to Jon Lovitz, Nicolas Cage actually directed some of the film because Gallo refused to give any direction. This aggravated the cast, and Lovitz claimed that the cast hated making the movie so much that they took to calling it Trapped in Bullshit. The movie was filmed in Ontario, Canada from January to April of 1994. The film was the first that both Dana Carvey and Jon Lovitz had worked on together after leaving the NBC series Saturday Night Live. Dana Carvey based his character's speaking style on two people, film producer Brad Gray and a young actor Mickey Rourke. 20th Century Fox representatives had to fly from Los Angeles to Ontario and tell Dana Carvey to stop doing the voice. But Nicolas Cage encouraged him to keep doing it. He did it, and his character speaks this way throughout the film. I can't decide if it works or if it doesn't.
Bill, you do what you do, and I do what I do.
That enhances my sense of security.
The town featured in the movie is a real town located in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. The town had to appear virtually buried in snow so that the characters were trapped and couldn't leave. The filmmakers supplemented real snow with 75,000 pounds of custom-made biodegradable potato flakes from Idaho. This was the second film written by George Gallo that John Ashton appeared in, having appeared in the 1988 movie Midnight Run. Trapped in Paradise does have some shades of Midnight Run. Actor Frank Pesci, who plays the henchman Caesar in this movie, also appeared in that film, playing a bit role as the character Carmine.
Hey, scumbag.
My name's Carmine, fucko.
The story also has some similarities to Midnight Run, with an aggressive FBI agent actively attempting to catch the men as they try and flee.
So what are you doing here?
It's another long and miserable story that I'd rather not get into. Right now, there's a three-legged dog over there staring at me.
Oh, it's Tripod.
The three-legged dog Tripod was added to the script when director George Gallo saw the dog and its owner among spectators watching the filming in Aloria, Ontario. Released into theaters in December of 1994, Trapped in Paradise grossed a worldwide total of $8 million. It did not spend long in theaters. Nicolas Cage was in theaters quite a bit in 1994, with Guarding Tess released in March of that year, the U.S. release of Red Rock West in April, the romantic comedy It Could Happen to You with Bridget Fonda in July, and then Trapped in Paradise in December. This was during a time when Nicolas Cage was pretty hot, but not quite the super A-list superstardom that he would get at the end of the 1990s and in the 2000s. Critics were not favorable to this film, including Siskel and Ebert.
You want to see a movie about crooks in a small town who stumble into the Christmas spirit? Rent a picture from earlier this year called The Ref. It's a lot better than this one.
Well, it is.
A lot better.
So is any picture. This is a pretty bad film.
Roger Ebert is correct, though. This movie does have the crime comedy feel of another 1994 Christmas-themed film called The Ref. I first saw this movie when I rented it around 2004, 2005, and there were a slew of great entertaining movies that I rented around that time when I was about 16 years old or so, and this was one of them. Funny enough, even though the movie was only about 10 or 11 years old when I saw it, these 1994 era movies felt somewhat dated by 2004 or 2005. Payphones, indoor smoking, that all really gives these movies from the early 1990s a certain quality that did seem dated even a decade later. I really think cell phones and the internet modernized many movies in that 10-year period between, say, 1994 and 2004. I do have to admit that movies were so good in the 1990s that even the forgettable box office flops were good. We didn't know how lucky we were. Despite the critics ripping this apart, I enjoyed it when I first saw it, and I find myself watching it every now and then. It's what some would call a near cult classic. Not quite a cult classic, but right on the edge. And there is a chance that as time passes, this movie will become more and more of a 1990s Christmas comedy classic. I recommend this as a warm-hearted comedy with a few good laughs and plenty of entertainment for the Christmas season. I recommend Trapped in Paradise.